What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Nemo Propaganda here, and we are going to cover the home entertainment show. This show takes place every year, first week of June in Southern California. It's been going on for a while, and look at that crowd. There was a huge turnout. I actually asked the event coordinators if this was normal because the lines looked a little bit out of control, and they said they had more people show up this year than they had for the last 5 years in a row, so that was pretty cool. Now, listen, if this is your first time joining me for trade show coverage, buckle up and keep your standards low. This is amateur coverage. I'm not a professional YouTuber. Some of you guys might think I am because I crank out a lot of content, but I do this part-time. This is for free and for fun. And my goal here is just to help those of you that couldn't make it out to the show feel like you got to take a little sneak peek into every single room. This video does cover every single room. But an interesting thing happened, and there's a good reason I'm not going to sit here and talk about everything you're seeing on screen. One reason is some of these rooms have a lot of components in them. But the main reason is I didn't know what I was looking at most of the time. Most of these brands were on the obscure side, and it got me doubting my hi-fi knowledge just a little bit. So I started to chat with some of the other guys I saw at the show. These were strangers. I didn't know any of them. And I asked some of these other gentlemen, these people that were attending the show, hey, are you familiar with the brands we're seeing in a lot of these rooms? And most of the people I talked to said no. They felt that a lot of these brands were obscure. They weren't familiar with them. They hadn't heard of them before. So I knew I wasn't alone. Now, don't get me wrong. There were a few heavy hitters that everyone knows. We got Macintosh amps right there. SVS was exhibiting. The guys from RSL were here. There was some super high-end stuff that I was familiar with, like Dart Zeal. They had their amplifiers being showcased. But for the most part, a lot of this stuff was obscure. So instead of telling you about the show, let's switch gears. You guys can enjoy what's on screen. And again, like I said, feel like you're taking a little peek into every room. And by the way, I'm not going to tolerate any comments of anyone that's unhappy with my trade show coverage. If you don't like what I do, don't watch the content. It's okay. Or better yet, buy your own plane ticket and fly out to the show if you don't like what you're seeing here. But what I'm going to do is shift gears. And I want to talk to you guys about some products that I got in for review that haven't been reviewed yet, but I'm going to give you some sneak peeks. If you don't want to hear any of that, hey, turn down the volume and just enjoy what's on the screen. But for those of you that subscribe to my channel and care about what I've got in the queue, let's chat about it real quick. So recently, I reviewed the Fritz Carbon 7 Special Edition Mark IIs. That was a fantastic speaker at around $2,800. Now, I've got some other stuff in the pipeline I haven't talked about yet. The Hagel H190. I've had that bad boy here for quite some time. I've put a ton of hours on it. Now, the best way I can describe this amp, and this is probably what I'll say in the actual review. Oh, yeah, by the way, they had cars in the hotel lobby, so I filmed those too. Back to the Hagel. The Hagel H190 is an amplifier that, I gotta say, I understand why a lot of people like it. It's very agreeable. It doesn't do anything that stands out too much. So it's hard to find something you don't like. The top end is clean and clear, but it's not too aggressive, nor is it too rolled off or anything like that. Same with the mid-range, same with the bass. It doesn't have too much flavor in any direction. It's essentially a modern take on a purist piece. The Hagel H190 doesn't have tone controls, and I was surprised. I thought it was going to have tone controls. I reached out to the guys at Hagel and I asked them why, and they said they didn't feel like they could implement tone controls in a way that didn't impact sound quality, and instead chose to keep the signal path as clean as possible. And I thought that was very respectable of them. I did also ask why they don't publish 4-ohm power figures. And again, what they said was pretty respectable. They're like, unfortunately in this industry, a lot of 4-ohm specs are fudged a bit. A lot of consumers have an expectation that an amplifier doubles its power output at 4 ohms, but most amplifiers, the simple truth is they don't do it. And an easy way to know that is if you look at most manufacturers that do publish 4-ohm specs, they don't measure 4 ohms the same way they do 8. 8-ohm power measurements are generally 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, but 4 ohm specs are generally measured at just 1 kilohertz. And a lot of amplifier companies do that to show better performance in 4 ohms. Hegel didn't like that. They felt like that was kind of fudging the numbers. And instead they said, hey, you know what? We're not playing this game. We don't want to lie to our consumers. We're just publishing 8 ohm specs, and that's that. And I thought that was pretty cool too. Anyways, let's talk about another amplifier I've got here. The Thomas & Stereo Galleon Special Edition, the TS120, of course. I like this amp a lot. The interesting thing is the sound is not traditionally the way people have described tube amplifiers, nor is it in line with what I've generally experienced with tube amplifiers. Most tube amplifiers I've heard have a little bit of a, rolled off or pulled back treble region, mid-range that is super organic, and bass generally that is warm but otherwise just okay. That's not the case with the Galleon TS120 SE. No, sir. The Galleon has a top end, a treble region that is like higher end Class AB. It's clean, it's clear, it's articulate, it's even a little bit spicy. The attack is on the sharper side, and it's super open sounding. The mid-range is very tubey, very organic, very holographic, and three-dimensional. Moving down to the bass region, however, again, here the Galleon TS120 SE again shifts back to being more like a Class AB amp, displaying confident and powerful bass that is fairly well controlled, especially for a tube amplifier. Another amplifier, I got a few amps here, guys, that I haven't reviewed yet, but I do have here. Oh, look, it's the RSL room. Guys, this room was a bump, and they had the RSL room and the SVS room had some of the best bass in the entire show. I just wanted to say that real quick. But another amp I have that I haven't reviewed yet is I have a pair of the T.H.E Wreckers. These are super tiny, little 2-watt per channel stereo power amplifiers, but you can run them in mono where they put out a whole 4 watts a piece. Now, that's not a lot of power, I know that, but these little T.H.E amps were so small and so cute. I just had to get my hands on a pair. I wanted to see what they could do. And I was actually able to get them to play pretty darn loud. And we'll talk about that more when I actually review them. But the sound from the T.H.E amplifiers is, in a nutshell, it's clean and clear and pretty darn good for the money. And you'll just have to watch the review to hear more. Now, what else do I have here? I recently got a review sample of the $6,500 a pair Mon Acoustics Platamon speakers. These just came out. $6,500 gets you the speakers and the stands. And listen, sound aside, these things are worth it just for the build quality. They use billet aluminum enclosures, just like all Mon Acoustic speakers do. And guys, this stuff is not cheap to manufacture. So again, just simply on the build quality alone, they're worth every penny. As far as all the metal cabinet speakers go, like YG Acoustics, Magico, Mon Acoustics is among the more affordable brands. So while $6,500 a pair isn't nothing, it is cheap given what you're getting. I've only spent a few hours with the Platamon speakers, so I can't give you too much of a sneak peek, but I'll tell you this. They look amazing. They're built impeccably well. And so far, I do like what I hear. It does use Mon Acoustics proprietary ribbon tweeter. I don't know if you want to call it a ribbon, an AMT, a folded horn, etc. But their version of that AMT tweeter I like a lot, and that's interesting because I don't generally like AMT tweeters. Oh, this brand. I want to make a joke, but I don't want to get canceled. Anyways, oh, look, this is the T.H.E room. They had their cool Matrix surround sound in here, and I gotta say, it sounded pretty darn good. I might mess with that. Anyways, back to sneak peeks on gear I haven't reviewed yet. The Platamon it's good. I like what I'm hearing so far, but again, haven't put enough hours on it to give you too much of a sneak peek. Let's go a little bit down in price. I reviewed the Hecko Aurora 300s about a month ago now, and I was over the moon for those things. For $419, it was the best sounding affordable speaker in and around that price point. If you like the sound that it produces, the T.H.E Aurora 300 sound was on the warm side of neutral overall from top to bottom. The treble was a little bit on the darker side, the mid-range was warm and organic, and the bass was warm, thick, and rich as well. If you're looking for a speaker that has a ton of clarity, the T.H.E Aurora 300 might not be for you. But if you're looking for that more warm, engaging, enjoyable, romantic sound, the T.H.E Aurora 300 just blew my socks off, to the point that I reached out to Audio Advice and I was like, hey guys, so like, here's my review. I bought the Aurora 300s to review them. Would you guys be willing to do a review sample on the salons? And they were like, hey, we saw your video. Actually, you killed it. You did a great job. Like, thank you so much. We'll totally send you a review sample of the salons. So I got the Salon Revolution 3s. Guys, the Salon Revolution 3s are, man, listen. They're everything I loved about the Aurora 300, but better in every single way without any downsides. They cost a little bit more money, obviously, but at $1,100 for the pair, what you get out of the T.H.E Salon Revolution 3, oh my goodness, this is such a good speaker. It is so freaking good. The clarity is awesome. You have two connection options around back. You have two positive terminals, basically. One of them is neutral. The other one's +2 on the treble. So depending on how I had them set up, I use different taps. Like when I was using my Kinky Studio preamp and power amps, I had those Salon Revolution 3s set to neutral. But when I was using slightly smoother sounding amps like the Hagel H190, I preferred that +2 setting. Either way, the Salon Revolution 3s, possibly the best speaker I've ever heard in and around $1,000, guys. Keep your eyes peeled for that review. I'm going to put a little bit more time on those speakers, but oh, man, they are good. Another speaker I have here that I haven't covered yet is the Klipsch R50M. It might just be the R50. I keep getting it mixed up, but it's the newest version where the waveguide on the tweeter is pushed out all the way to the edge. They're about $399 MSRP and occasionally go on sale for about $269. It's incredibly good, whether you're buying it at full price or on sale. It is such a good speaker. I really, really like that Klipsch R50. Now, speaking of Klipsch just a little bit more, I also have the Klipsch RP 1200 subwoofer, the new one that just came out. Guys, this subwoofer took me by surprise, man. This thing can bang really nicely. The bass is very strong, very authoritative, very powerful, yet very clean. I'm able to run this subwoofer super hot, very exaggerated sound, because I like that, and it does not mud up the mid-range at all. I've only put about 5 hours on it so far, so I don't want to speak too much about that Klipsch RP 1200 subwoofer, but so far I really like what I'm seeing. Anyway, let me think. What else do I have here that I haven't talked about yet? That might be everything. Oh no, I also have, I haven't set these up yet, guys. This is my bad, but you know what? That's enough. This is the last clip. This is the last room. You got through the video. Thank you for joining me, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, oh well, I'll try to do a better job next time. Leave a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. Until next time, later.